Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
Easton Roofing, always free inspection and estimate with Easton, in good standing with all the insurance companies. They're not going around high-pressure tactics, knocking on doors. No, listen, storms blew through a couple of weeks ago. If you think you might have had some damage, get a free inspection and estimate from Easton Roofing. Call 913-257-5426. That's 913-257-5426. Certified commercial and residential roofing. In fact, the commercial manufacturer-backed warranty, labor, materials, up to 25 years. So if your business needs a new roof, call Easton Roofing today, 913-257-5426. Joe and his team will be happy to take care of you with a project manager on site at every job. Happy to do repairs. 4 straight years voted best of houses. Angie's List Super Service Award winner. You can check out their incredible reviews on Google as well. No payment is ever collected until you're 100% satisfied, and they're happy to take credit cards and PayPal. And, of course, observe social distancing and make sure that you and your family and their employees are all safe at this very unprecedented time. Easton Roofing, family-owned and operated, local business, great business. The folks that are on my roof are Easton Roofing. They're on Danny's roof as well. See them online at eastonroofing.com. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. Danny, welcome to the Sprintcast line. How are you, my friend?
Doing just fine. In fact, the president himself is inspecting my roof on Monday. So
oh, wow. Yeah, good for you.
Roof inspection from the top man, from the top dog.
Yeah. Impressive.
Your roof is very impressive. Very nice roof.
Yeah.
Very nice roof. That's
thank
what
you,
some
sir.
people are telling me.
Thank you, sir. I took your advice, and I mainlined some disinfectant just before the show. So
well, that's good for you. Good for you.
I'm ready to go. At your suggestion, sir.
Won't help the roof, though.
No, it won't. It won't help the roof. And under this roof, Soren, I am at my home, which I try not to be usually, but it seems like the weather sucks every Friday. I'll usually sit someplace quiet, but my design ever since the last few weeks has been go to the park. But anyway, so I'm at home, so there is the chance that you will hear a bark or two during the course of this hour.
No worries, brother.
All right.
No worries. Chris Trapasso, from CBS, his mother-in-law dropped by and was dropping off stuff and everything, and he couldn't go on, right? So we moved him back a segment, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, man. we got this." And I'm like, "Hey, family first, brother. Family first. You're not going to get if we can't back ass our way through a segment so that you can live a healthy life. Shame on us. Right. And sometimes, you get stiffed and people, they have a mistake. As long as they're apologetic, it's when you get to be, who was it? Not Ian Rappaport.
Jason Lockenfora.
When our buddy Chad Dukes just bombed Jason Lockenfora on Twitter. Chad Dukes versus the World is his show there in D.C., and his producer, they had scheduled Lockenfora, and his producer texted, called him, didn't answer. So he waited a couple minutes, called him, didn't answer. Texted him, nothing. Texted him again, nothing. Called him again, right? And then Lockenfora called him back like 15 minutes later and just unloaded on the producer. Like, listen, if I didn't answer, I'm busy doing something. Like, stop blowing up my phone. And was like really nasty and rude to him. And Dukes just blew him up on Twitter, blew him up on the air, and is like, listen, the guy's doing his job. You agreed to do something, and he's just trying to make sure that you're aware. Don't agree to do it if you can't schedule your life to where it won't come up. I get it, things come up, but just be like, hey, dude, I'm sorry, man. This is unavoidable. I couldn't make it happen. I was like, just Dukes is like he's like got permanent bro status or whatever. I don't know, whatever the cool term is amongst all the guys I know that are talk show hosts. We're all like, dude, wait, Dukes is the man. We got his back. We always have Chad Dukes back for blowing him up like that because it's ridiculous.
Defended his guy, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how long
absolutely.
does it take to text? Sorry, I'm busy. I'll get back to you.
I do get it if you're on the phone, but I know my Sprint phone, I can be on the phone and send a text. Right. But even just when it's over, just call the guy back and be like, dude, I'm sorry. Don't be like you're the Richard for trying to, get me to live up to my commitment. It's unreal. It's unreal. Anyway. All right, Danny. First of all, before we get into the Chiefs pick, what did you think of the broadcast?
Well, yeah, I guess I didn't quite have as much entertainment as many people did with it because, I'm kind of in it to. I guess I wasn't really engaged to watch mistakes. So I'll be honest with you. I listened to you guys and the radio coverage far more and was doing stuff. And, I'd look up at the TV sometimes, but I basically had the TV on mute because I think that the coverage on the radio, except for Mike Tannenbaum, who I didn't have his name right. But Bart Scott was fantastic, I thought. Better than, maybe any analyst I've seen on the television side. And he does some television for them. So I caught up with most of the things that people are tweeting and texting about today in highlight packages on SportsCenter, the goofy things with the girlfriend sitting on the lap and things like that. So I thought it was a pretty uneventful draft for quite a long time, which is why I actually, again, found the radio interesting because, they talk more stuff because there's no pictures out there.
But before you move off that, let me say the reason why I think we have the added, for anyone living here in town, everything we're doing, we're relating to how it's affecting the Chiefs. And so if you're a Chiefs fan, that's going to be more appealing. So we have that built-in thing when we do it, of being able to be like, okay, there goes a corner. Is this the run for the Chiefs? All those kind of things. But the other thing I think we have in general in radio, I think TV oftentimes will overproduce something like this. So they want to just throw numbers at it. We've got 40 analysts. And then, well, that's great. And each one gets 6 words. Right? You never
What did they have at any one time when they usually were doing sort of the Zoom look? They had like 9 people up there, didn't they?
Yeah. And I'm like, you need go. This is what Kuiper's there for. It's almost like go to him and let him really break down a player. They never seem to want, they want to get that cheesy, no offense to Susie Colbert, but those interviews are always such just fluff. They're terrible.
Right.
How does it feel? What does it mean to you? Come on. I mean, give us something of substance, and I think you get way more substance on the radio broadcast.
I totally agree, and that's so. I guess I'm not the best person to judge the television broadcast because I basically saw some of the pictures and little of the audio. So,
yeah, okay.
But I thoroughly enjoyed what you guys did, and mostly ESPN's coverage. I thought so much of Mike Tannenbaum, I called him Mike Zimmerman in a text to Curtis. So,
listen, trust me, we don't care. We're all right. Not bothering us. Tannenbaum, you did a good point. I thought you made a good point. I didn't have a chance to chime in too much on those texts.
Right.
But I thought you made a great point when you're like, Tannenbaum looks like a guy who's trying to get back in the gig, and he doesn't want to say anything hard hitting.
Right. And, sometimes it takes a little while for somebody to feel like, okay, I like this, I'm going to do this. And then they let their guard down a little bit. I think I see that in the game of golf. Phil Mickelson's former caddy is an analyst now. He used to, when he first started, it was like, I think he felt like he was going to caddy again, so he never said anything. And now he's pretty good. And I think in all sports, analysts will get to that point where maybe a couple, 3 years in, they're like, you know what? This is pretty good. I get paid pretty well. I can't get fired, or it's harder to get fired. I'm going to let it fly a little bit, and then they become better.
And I think they actually, if they want to get back in the game, letting it fly is more likely to get you back in the game than being milquetoast. Right? Because I know what they're thinking. I don't want to step on any toes because I might need this guy to hire me. But in reality, what you need to be is definitive and then be right about what you're definitive about. And some owner will be like, well, I've heard this guy. I mean, I know here's his resume, and I heard him call this shot and this shot and this shot. I don't get it. Did anything surprise you before we got to the Chiefs pick? Were you shocked with any of the draft picks? Did you think we had anything wacky happening?
The Raiders were, reached a little bit, but it seemed like, a position in the division of need for the cornerback. And then I think the drama of it was made too much of, but I don't see anything wrong with the Packers picking a quarterback that might not play for 3 years or whatever. Now, in this day and age with Tom Brady as a precedent, we always think these guys are going to play forever. And Aaron Rodgers has often hinted that he may not play forever. So that's interesting on the face of it. I mean, do you want to pick somebody in the first round and wait 4 years to play him? I don't know. They wait 3 years with Rodgers? So the organization has done it before, but so that was pretty interesting.
You can't take 1 year and say this is how the NFL is going to operate, but 16 of the first 26 picks were offense.
Right. Oh, I think that, and I will get into this with the Chiefs. I mean, if you're kind of 50-50 on a pick, you should go offense. This is an offensive league. You got to score points now. And I wouldn't if I wanted to build up my offense, I wouldn't take an offensive player who I had graded significantly lower than a defensive player. But if you're got a coin flip type of situation, you go offense. You got to score points to win.
Well, and that's why I agree that we can analyze Hilaire as Hilaire right now, but we can't analyze the what it means at pick 32 until we see all the picks. Because part of what you do also is if you're like, okay, I like, for me, if I were sitting there as we were getting late, Brandon Ayuk, I liked. 49ers went up and grabbed him. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I like Jalen Johnson, the corner from Utah, and I'm probably going to take Jalen Johnson and hope that Edwards-Helaire's size drives him down and I get him in the bottom of the second round. I like Jeff Gladney. He went right in front of the Chiefs. He would have been on my list. I also liked Jalen Reagor, but he went at 21 to the Eagles. I liked Kenneth Murray. I liked Patrick Queen. All those guys, they all started coming off, so I was really down to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jalen Johnson. And then the two defensive ends, I can't tell you I've watched enough of Ipaneza or Matos, whatever the Penn State guy's name is, Yader, Matos, whatever. But they look like guys to me that would be Steve Spagnuolo-type defensive ends, so I think they could have been in the mix. But the guys, it was Edwards-Helaire or Jalen Johnson, and I would have gone corner, figuring that I will get another running back. Like, we'll see where Rice from Utah goes. I know the Chiefs interviewed him. And so if Rice from Utah goes in the fourth round and the Chiefs don't ever get to a corner because they all go, 9 corners go and before they can get a pick tonight, then I think we might look at it and go, they kind of crapped this one up because they could have had Rice in the third and they could have grabbed a Johnson up there in the first. And so, I mean, I think, the draft as a whole, part of each pick is how it works in concert with the other picks.
Well, there's no question about that. I mean, the Chiefs had 2 linebackers and 2 cornerbacks go in the 5 picks before they selected. Now, of course, the narrative today is, we knew at 4 o'clock in the afternoon this was our guy. If none of those players were picked and all of them were available to the Chiefs, I've got to kind of hope that they would have picked a defensive player there, or if they didn't like it at all, trade out. But today, of course, they're going to say this is our guy all along. Patrick Mahomes picked his name out of thin air when I asked him who he wants. So that's going to be the narrative for the Chiefs. But circumstances sometimes do, obviously conspire to maybe make you make a choice that you wouldn't have made otherwise, and maybe one that works out great for you.
So let's say the today happens and at 63 they grab a wide receiver. Okay, take your pick of whichever one is out there, and then at 96 they take a center. Are you pissed that they've gone offense, offense, offense?
I'm not going to go to pissed because the Chiefs' defense by the end of the year was good enough. And while I think I would still want to see a little more defense because you have a quarterback who can make the other people around him so much better, that I think there can be a bit of overkill here on the offense. But I'll say it again, that you really probably can't, I mean, maybe somebody will, construct a team that is extremely dominant on both sides of the ball. So if you're going to pick for domination, pick offense. That's what the Chiefs are doing. They probably were ahead of the curve on that. They're like, we're going to create the greatest offense we can possibly do, and good luck trying to score as many points as we can.
Yeah, I know. I think that's what you have to do. I think the Chiefs, found themselves in a game with 8 minutes to go, and they hung 3 touchdowns on the board to win the championship, and that's because they had the firepower. You're never out of it. If you're a great defensive team, I don't know, and you're playing a good team. Like, I'm talking playoff football. I'm not worried about week 4 against some turd. And I'm not worried about if you're a team that's in rebuild mode. I'm talking about you're a playoff team. If you're an offensive team, you can finish a team off in the first half or certainly in the third quarter and cruise. But you're never really out of it if you've got a great offense because you generally never get shut out. Even when the Chiefs got shut out by the Patriots in the first half of the AFC Championship game, they came back to lead that game 2 years ago because they had the offense. And likewise, if you're a dominant defensive team, the game's never over because you can't get enough separation. If all you got's defense, you can't get enough separation to ever close the door on the game. Yeah,
the only circumstance you can create with your defense like that is if you got a score, a defensive score and another turnover that, gave you a short field and you're up 24-0. And maybe that's enough separation if you've got a really good defense. Now, maybe not if you're playing the Chiefs because we've seen them come back from 24-0 down. But against most people, if you did that, you might have the game won. I think that, football, just like any other endeavor, generally is run still by people, and it gets younger and younger with every passing year. I don't mean just because the other people get older. I mean, the idea that you can hire young people becomes more prevalent. But when you've got people who were raised in the game of football, when they were playing football, when they were starting to coach football, defense wins championships was the mantra. That's tough for people to shake and just think to themselves, you know what, just a half-assed defense, we can win a championship if we build the offense to the right. I mean, it's true.
It is. It is. And trust me, I'm a guy, when you grow up with the Marty Schottenheimer Chiefs, you want to believe that you're gonna beat somebody, 13-9, 16-7, and hoist the trophy 17-10. And it didn't work then, and it sure as hell is not going to work now. And it is hard to change and come out of that comfort zone. I give great credit to Andy Reid because I don't know that Andy Reid was out of that comfort zone in Philadelphia. They were constantly taking defensive players in the first round.
Right. Year after year after year. And, look at, the discussion was coming up today about the Green Bay Packers. They hadn't picked a skill position player when they picked Jordan Love since they picked Aaron Rodgers. I mean, can you believe that? I mean, that's a good franchise, and all they did was pick people away from the ability to strike quickly in a football game. And that's a good organization. Maybe some people had some question marks about, the coach or whatever, but a good organization for a long time, and they just refuse to pick those players. Now, part of it is because running back, maybe they were smarter. Running backs, receivers, you can get good value after the first round, but still, that's pretty odd to go 15 years without a skill position player in the first round.
But if you're Aaron Rodgers and now, like, the first one is a quarterback, he's got to be a little pissed.
I would agree, and if he thinks he's going to play at least 4 more years, then he probably has the right to be pissed because you didn't give me any help right here with the best pick you could get, and we're gonna have a player in my mind who's a first round draft pick that we're going to waste for 4 years. So he'd have some leg to stand on there.
Yeah, they all get pissed. Roethlisberger got pissed. I think Rodgers, he said it during the season. He goes, hey, I'm the age Brett Favre was when they drafted me. So, yeah, There's an urgency this year. There's an urgency for the rest of my career, yes, because I don't have that many years left. So he gets it. I thought, I do appreciate that the Chiefs are keeping the foot on the gas on the offense. And I think there are different scenarios that could have happened that would have led the Chiefs down a different path. But I do appreciate the fact that they said that they are not afraid to keep putting pieces around Patrick Mahomes. And I think that's smart. And I think you saw the Raiders trying to do the same, right? I think some teams are paying attention. I know everyone's like, oh, that's classic Raiders pick. Well, Al Davis wasn't there, okay?
Right.
John Gruden and Mike Mayock, they can look over and see what the hell the Chiefs are doing and going, we got to have some more of those guys, right? We got to have that guy. They get a corner to try to stop the Chiefs. I think Arnett is a little bit of a reach, but I give Mike Mayock credit. He has his board. He's sticking to it. He's not worried about what everybody else says. Well, he needs to be right. Cleveland Farrell, last year's top 5 pick, needs to be really good. Arnett needs to be really good. The Ruggs one was a little more traditional. They went all speed, but they at least appear in a copycat league to be one that's copying them. But I don't know that it'll work without the quarterback. Right, and I think Derek Carr's all right, but at some point they're going to have to find their move where they go get their Patrick Mahomes, and I'm fine with them not making that move here if they didn't like any of those guys. But I don't think Derek Carr, can they win a Super Bowl? Yeah, the Ravens won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. A perfect storm can happen, and you can get there. But I still think they're looking way up at the Chiefs as we stand here right now.
I agree with that, although I will say in the first day of the draft, the AFC West looks like they did some good business in general. And so I think that
all right.
that looked pretty good to me.
All right, let's talk about that because there's one move that I think is just going to be a disaster. I get why they did it, but I think it'll be a disaster. Danny Clinkscale is with us. Easton Roofing, the proud sponsor of Danny Unleashed. Always free inspections and free estimates with Easton Roofing. Check them out online right now at eastonroofing.com. That's eastonroofing.com. They'll be happy to send one of the guys over, Charles, Austin, Chris, Dan. They'll be happy to come by and get you a free estimate on either repairs or a new roof. Call Joe and his team at 913-257-5426. Find them online at eastonroofing.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early before the cities even put out the notices. And we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Chiefs have now drafted 11 players from LSU in the common draft era. There are 2 other schools they've taken 11 players from. Name either one.
Ooh, LSU?
That's the one I gave you.
Oh, okay. Then I got it right then, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
It's like getting a point for, on a test for having your name and the date right. Or something.
I got it wrong. I wrote me up on the top.
USC?
Nope.
Ohio State?
Nope.
Texas?
Nope.
Auburn?
Nope.
This game quit being
Georgia.
fun.
Nope.
This game quit being fun for me at LSU.
One guy who's a friend of yours and is regularly on your show would be sad to know that you didn't guess his alma mater.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
I nailed it. Nailed it.
Most notably, Kavori Russell. Most notable, Chief.
Yeah, right. Give me the league on the other one.
SEC.
We named
Florida?
all of the SEC teams and we didn't get to there.
Nope.
Yeah, Florida?
Nope.
Arkansas?
Nope.
Missouri?
Nope.
Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Auburn, Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Missouri, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky. I've said them all now, right? I don't know.
He's humming Rocky Top for some reason.
Oh, Tennessee. Tennessee. God, that was
Every SEC team except Tennessee. That's funny.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. What, Anthony Hancock?
Yep. Most recently, I think Eric Berry is the most recent Vol to come here. It could be wrong.
Justin Colquitt.
Yep.
Brad Cottam.
Either
Did
Tank
Willie
or
Scott
Kirk,
go to
one of
Tennessee?
those guys.
Willie
Yeah,
Scott
one
was
of those
South Carolina.
guys. Turk McBride. Turk McBride. We're not. Dale Carter was really good.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say we're not hitting a lot of studs. Here.
Carter and Berry, the two best.
Yeah, maybe they should stay away from there. Playing for Good Sense, GoodSenseSubs.com. You can pick it up on your way home. Listen, those Good Sense to-go meals have been a huge success. They're just $5 right now, and it's the whole meal. This is great to bring home. Just put them in your fridge. Buy 5, 6, 7 of them, and then when you need a meal, boom, you just throw it in, warm it up, and you got a complete meal. We're talking grilled Alaskan salmon, classic pot roast, lasagna, naked chicken and veggies, meatloaf. They're wonderful pastas. They're also selling their meats and cheeses for $5 a pound, and loaves of the 12-inch breads that they bake twice each day are just 75 cents. Go to GoodSenseSubs.com. You can pick it up at the curb. Just select your time. Make sure you're part of that loyalty club as well. It's the best loyalty club going. Go online to GoodSenseSubs.com. Danny, you mentioned you thought the AFC West was doing well. Do you like Justin Herbert at 6 to the Chargers?
Well, I'm not the biggest fan of Justin Herbert, but I think you have said it before, you kind of just have to keep throwing numbers at the quarterback, and they don't have a franchise quarterback, and he has the physical tools to perhaps be a good NFL quarterback. And also, I think they knew they had draft capital in the first round besides him. You're not going to get a quarterback where their other pick was. So I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I see the possibility that he could be a franchise quarterback. So that's probably the diciest pick of the ones in the division, except maybe the Raiders corner pick. But the other ones, I thought they were very solid picks, and they also fit into the narrative of the fact that, as several people have written, that the division has given up trying to stop the Chiefs and has figured we're just going to have to score with them.
What does Kenneth Murray have to be worth giving up a pick to go up and get him?
I think he has to be a Pro Bowl, not all pro. I think he has to be a Pro Bowl player if you're going to give up that kind of capital. But I like the player, and I think a lot of people do like the player. So, player's always going to have to be that much pitch better if you gave up something extra for them. But the Chiefs gave up a boatload in money and picks for Frank Clark, probably too much, but they're not disappointed they did, and they have a fine player.
Right, because they won the Super Bowl. So do you think that Patrick Murray's the last piece to the Super Bowl? Because Frank Clark was.
Well, no, because I think the Chiefs are still way better than the other teams. But
that's my point. So why would you give up two? Why would you turn 2 picks into 1 if this isn't the last piece?
Because I think they really think he's a very good football player, and I think that perhaps they thought, well, we'll get 2 good players maybe, but this guy's a great player. He's a difference maker. But you're right. When you do that, you have to sort of say he's a difference maker. That's why we picked him. That's why we gave up something for him.
Yeah, I listen. I like the guy. I would like to have seen him in a Chiefs uniform, but I don't see trading up to go get a linebacker, a middle linebacker, a guy that's not going to sack the quarterback, a guy that's not going to pick the quarterback off, a guy that's not going to take your number one threat away, and you're giving up an extra pick. I think the Chargers had a terrible draft. I think they're a bad franchise, and they did what bad franchises do. And if Justin Herbert's great. Okay, they took the third best quarterback in this, and there is nothing about Justin Herbert you can look and say what the Chiefs did with a straight face when they looked at the camera and said he was the number one quarterback on our list. We got the number one quarterback. Forget about we weren't making all this move to go get the second or third best quarterback. We got the number one quarterback. Now I get that the Chargers didn't move up at 6, but my point is, if you felt like you needed to get a young quarterback, then you go get the best one in the draft. I mean, what is the likelihood that Herbert is better than either Tua or Joe Burrow? And if you were willing to give up picks, the position to me, they like, okay, we're going to go swimming, but let me check the temperature. Let me put my toe in. Now I'm going to put my foot in. Now I'm going to get the water up to my knee. If you're willing to give up picks and move up, then where you give up the picks to move up is at the quarterback spot. So you've got to believe that Justin Herbert is the best quarterback in the draft. And if he is, then I will say that, man, the Chargers played that board beautifully because they got the best quarterback in the draft and they didn't even move up and give up those extra picks. But in reality, they were willing to go get things. And if they're going to beat the Chiefs, and I don't mean just once, I mean, supersede the Chiefs as the top team in the AFC West, it will be because they got the quarterback right. And I don't know how anybody could tell me that Justin Herbert is better than Tua. You could say he's going to be healthier, but you can't tell me he's better. And I don't know how he could possibly be as good as Burrow. I don't think he's as good as Burrow. And if it's like, well, the Bengals wouldn't trade him. I know, so don't take the quarterback here. That's my point. You're taking sloppy seconds with the sixth pick, and you could have gotten good players.
I think their thought is that he's not. I don't. If they think he's just sloppy seconds, then they shouldn't have picked him. I can see any team deciding that they weren't going to pick Tua that high. I can see that.
I can too.
So they probably said no. We don't want to move up. And also, when you're at 6, that's going to be to get Tua. It depends on what their thought about Tua was. If they were just like, we're not picking him. Okay, we're just not going to pick him, so why should we move up to get him? And we think it's a coin toss between he and Herbert, but Herbert's big and strong, and he's going to play. Then that would be their rationale. But I completely see your point too. I mean,
I know, and I appreciate that.
If Justin Herbert just becomes a run-of-the-mill quarterback, then this is a bad pick. I mean, it is.
Right, I agreed. If he ends up being Ben Roethlisberger, who was the third quarterback taken in the Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, then they will laugh in my face. If he's Ben Roethlisberger, congrats. They have done a great thing here. All right, but that you name the other draft where it works out like that. There's 3 good ones. And, holding your water and sitting there till 11, like the Steelers did, and getting Roethlisberger worked out. I mean, what I'm getting at is, like, again, it's like we talk about, ultimately we're going to know the Edwards-Helaire pick, the value of it, how good it is, will also be determined by what they do afterwards. Well, we already have a little bit of what the Chargers were going to do afterwards. They wanted a middle linebacker. You know what, at 6, you know who was available? Isaiah Simmons.
Right. Which
so Herbert's,
if Herbert's a bust, is the best player in the draft.
Right. But, so if Herbert's a bust, you were sitting right there at 6 and could have had Isaiah Simmons. Then you don't have to trade up to go get Patrick Murray because you've already checked that box if what you're doing is drafting for need. And then you just wait.
There's been in the NFL these days, the biggest box you have to check by a country mile is quarterback.
Right. And to which I come back again and say, and again, if you didn't want Tua, then fine. It was about whether or not you could get up. But I don't know how you could look at, like you said, if they value Herbert and Tua and they say, we'll take Herbert because he's probably going to be healthier. Okay, that's great. But I don't know on what planet you could watch Tua play and you could watch Herbert play and you come to the conclusion that, man, this is a dead heat. Do you like blondes or redheads or brunettes? Because they're both smoking hot. No.
I agree with you.
No.
I totally agree with you. I think Tua is a better player. No question about it. But he also, but they're, and also I think the Chargers are still, and their organization probably is what we talked about before. They already have a good defense. They drafted what they consider obviously is a difference-making defensive player. Maybe they're saying, you know what, it's really hard to get Patrick Mahomes, okay? So maybe if we have a good quarterback and a really great defense, then that's going to be our formula for winning. Does it seem like the formula to win in the National Football League right now? No. But to find that guy is so hard, and maybe they felt like this is, we have a sixth pick. We won't often, we hope, have a sixth pick. It's high enough that we can actually get a quarterback. Because these days, no matter what people think of somebody and that he's a second-round talent or what are the quarterbacks who are even have the outside potential of being a franchise quarterback just go bing, bing, bing. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, well, and when they don't go bing, 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 then I can understand why Tua didn't go too, because his hip was pulled out of its socket. There's no reason for Herbert to not go two then. That's my whole point. I mean, quarterbacks, if you're really good and you have no flaws, Patrick Mahomes should have gone two. It should have gone, and Trubisky should have gone one. Right? That's how it should work. There's no reason, because even if a team's up there and you're like, well, they've got this great young quarterback, but he blew his ACL and missed 12 games, and that's why they were only 3-13, and they're picking up here, so they don't need a quarterback. Fine, somebody else that was 5-11 does, and they should be trading up to get him. Otherwise, there's warts. There were warts on Patrick Mahomes, or at least perceived warts. I think they were the wrong ones because people don't know what they're looking for. It's all that footwork crap. Oh, look at his footwork. He's throwing off balance. Yeah, but you're looking at him, a snapshot of him when he lets go of the ball. You're forgetting to follow the ball to the receiver's hands and realize that he put it right on the money to a guy 27 yards downfield. Right? That's the part that they forgot. They went, oh, the snapshot doesn't look like a guy in an Elite 11 camp. They screwed it up. There really were no warts on Patrick Mahomes. None. They blew it. They don't know what they're looking at when it comes to quarterbacks if they didn't come to the conclusion that this is the guy, right? But I think on Tua, we know what the warts are. He's hurt. Herbert, the warts are he sucks when he gets any pressure.
So far, yes, and that's usually something that's a confidence issue, a mental issue. It is something that you can't necessarily coach away. I mean, it's almost like a mental toughness type of deal. So, I don't think he's the greatest player in the world, but I think he has the physical ability and the arm talent that there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance, and today in the NFL, you got to have a, especially in this division, because you're going to have to outscore people. So, yeah. I think it was a bit of a roll of the dice, but it wasn't like they picked somebody who was supposed to go in the third round and they picked him at number 6.
All right, let's take a break. We'll talk about a team that I think could be scary for the Kansas City Chiefs in years to come. We'll do that next. Danny Clinkscale is with us. Brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Find them online at eastonroofing.com or just call 913-257-5426. Certified commercial roofer, manufacturer-backed warranties, labor, materials, up to 25 years. If the roof on your business is leaking, it's been raining all day, what are you waiting on? Pick up the phone and call Joe and the guys. And, of course, our friend Sam. She'll be happy to help you as well. In fact, she's probably the first one you'll hear. 913-257-5426. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, the year couldn't have started in a greater way with a Super Bowl championship for the first time in years. And then the city was obviously hit hard like everyone else. But I know as a resident here and a business owner, you're really proud of the city.
I am, and thank goodness it didn't come a few weeks earlier because I've been looking forward to that championship that Patty Icicles brought us my whole life. So, I'm super proud of our city. We've done a great job flattening the curve, and I know that there's people out there that wonder, was this worth it? And all I can say is I think that we as a city got together, did the right thing, and it looks like maybe we're going to come out of this thing, and I'm proud of how everybody really responded and sacrificed, and it makes me proud to be a Kansas Cityan.
And, of course, Easton Roofing still at business. A lot of times now it's easy to get distracted as far as your home is concerned, but still business to be done.
Absolutely. We're still doing free inspections, and we're doing it COVID responsibly. So eastonroofing.com, 913-257-5426.
Danny Clinkscale is proudly brought to you by my friends at Easton Roofing. Joe Spiker and his team are ready to serve you. Call 913-257-5426, residential or commercial. Big commercial jobs. I mentioned the one that they did just across the way from us at the office, and I don't even know how tall that damn crane was that he had in there. I wasn't even sure the crane was going to make it into the area it needed to get to, but it was a massive job. So no matter how big the job is, Easton Roofing's got you covered, commercial and residential. Call Joe and his guys. They will keep you safe. They will keep their workers safe, and they will do you a fantastic job. Check out their Google reviews online. It's eastonroofing.com, and Easton Roofing. Integrity matters, and I can tell you that from knowing Joe personally. He is very serious about that. All right, Danny, you got a team that you think, like here down the road, like who are the Chiefs going to be battling, right? Is there a team you think that they're going to be, battling in the AFC that's going to be their chief nemesis moving forward?
I'm hardly going, out on a gigantic limb here, but it looks like the Ravens and the Chiefs are set to be battling for a few years here. They both have young quarterbacks, both have good coaches. Lamar Jackson certainly is more in peril probably as a player because of the way he plays. I think they've shown in the past as an organization that they generally draft well. So I guess I would pick the Ravens.
Okay, and I'm fine with that, although I think Lamar Jackson will get beat to hell in about 3 or 4 years. I think his career path will be he's not going to, well, maybe he will, but I'm not talking about the kneeling part, but I think the Colin Kaepernick comparisons are quite similar with him, and I think the success rate is going to be similar to that. He's going to need exceptional talent around him. Now, I'm with you. The Ravens took Patrick Queen last night, and they've got 55, 60, 92, and 106 tonight, 4 more picks, which is where I think the Chiefs need to get to keep replenishing the roster with good, young, cheap talent around Patrick Mahomes. So I hope they don't trade up tonight. I really do. I hope Brett Veach can hold his water. If he does, it's got to be a home run. It can't be Breeland Speaks. And Breeland Speaks has still got a chance to be a good football player, but he's got to hit a home run if he moves up. But they need to come through this. They need all these one-year guys to play really well this year and then go sign elsewhere so they can start getting some compensatory picks again and start building up their coffers so that they've got more ammunition to get things done. But I won't argue with the Ravens. Is there anybody that you think is going to be new to the party? I've clearly got a team.
Yeah, obviously you do. I think that the Dolphins seem to be going in the right direction. But that might be, not in the real near term. But I think they have a coach who clearly spit in the face of tanking and won games, despite a roster that was built to tank. And they seem to be drafting well. They have a bazillion draft picks. So I don't want to take all the points that you would be making, but yes, the Dolphins.
No, go for it. Do it, because that's it. You hit on it. It's the Dolphins, and I like the Tua pick. I don't think he's going to play 16 games for 10 straight years. I don't think Brett Favre's consecutive game record is in any kind of peril. Or did Peyton Manning break that? Anyway, I think or Eli Manning break it. I think it's still Brett Favre.
I think Eli might have broken it, but
did he? Okay. I don't think well, hell, whoever's second, he doesn't need to worry either, because Tua's not going to break that. I don't think he'll have that kind of health. But when he's right, when he's healthy, if they can get him healthy coming down the stretch and get into the playoffs, I think he's a guy that is going to be really good. And they grabbed Austin Jackson to help out, a guy that a lot of people has just been flying up the board, that athletically they think this is a guy with some more polish. Could have been the number 1 tackle in this class. They get him at 18, and then they get a corner, a guy that, a lot of people had going to the Chiefs, the Auburn corner. Curtis?
Brett Favre still has the record.
Okay.
I had that.
Igbenegani. Does that sound good? You know what that?
Igbenegani.
Igbenegani. They get those 3 guys, and now today, They've got 39, 56, 70 today. Then they've got 2 in the 4th, 3 in the 5th, a 6 and 3 in the 7th. And I think if they're smart, what you'll see them do with all those 7ths and the 6th and some of the 5ths is they will start packaging them to maneuver around and get the guys they want to get. Here, like they've got number 70s, pick 6 of the 3rd round. I wouldn't be shocked if that doesn't get packaged with something to get up even higher and get another 2nd round pick. You know, if they're there at 56 and there's a guy that's in that group. I mean, to me at 55 is where it falls off, but everyone's draft board is different. They've got all kinds of picks that they're going to come away. I think they come away from this with like 6 or 7 starters, and everyone who was laughing at them, you know, last year is now going to look at a team that's completely replenishing its coffers, and they're going to be hell on wheels.
Well, it certainly looks that way, but it's just, you know, whether the quarterback works out, whether he does stay healthy. It's be created, and maybe someday it will be different, and you can have a well-rounded football team with a good quarterback, but it seems like you have to have the man, you know, one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league, or you're doomed right now in the NFL.
All right, we've only got about 15 seconds. You tell me, if he's healthy, do you look at him and say, that kid can be the man?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, me too. And that's worth the gamble. That's a way better gamble than Herbert. That's what I think. Danny, you're the man. Enjoy the weekend. Appreciate the time. Everybody check out DannyKlinkscale.com, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great.
All right, Danny Klinkscale, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Klinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.